make stuff up sometimes too.
And he's very convincing. He has some great pictures, great information. So if you have questions, I suppose you could interrupt as you go, or do you want them to wait?
It doesn't matter to me.
All right, well, here we go.
Yeah.
David Guerreri from Maricopa County Environmental Services.
So, I don't drive east to central. I'm a west sider. So, are you guys seeing a lot of mosquitoes this year so far? Sorta? They're starting to come out a little bit? Okay. What about, what time of the day are they going to come out? Early evening. Okay, very good. 6:30. And what about in the early mornings? You see them in the early mornings? Okay. Those are some specific mosquitoes that we're going to show you and talk to you about in just a second. What about roof rats? You guys seen roof rats? You see evidence of roof rats?
Yeah, my neighborhood is maybe half a mile from my son-in-law's, and they're talking about roof rats in their neighborhood.
They're talking because they've seen them, or just because everyone else has seen them? Okay.
So how do you know if you have them?
What's that?
How do you know if you have roof rats?
Well, we're gonna go over that in just a moment. But usually you're gonna see there's gonna be some physical evidence. You're gonna see hollowed out fruits. You're going to see maybe smudge marks. If they're in your attic, you might be able to hear them a little bit with the nodding and stuff. You know. A lot of times, honestly, you may be in the middle of a roof rat country, and you may not know because they don't live on your property. They're just kind of using you as a highway type of thing. All right. So good. Well, thank you. We're going to get started. So that's me again. You like that? I love that picture, by the way. It's a cool picture. So our mission statement is to provide safe food, water, and my part of it is vector-borne diseases. So we don't care about all the other health stuff, just my stuff for today. So today we're going to talk a little bit about roof rats, their characteristics. We're going to talk about vector control's role in the community. We're also going to talk about how to protect yourself. We're going to talk about some mosquito biology. We're going to talk about vector control's role in the community as it pertains to mosquitoes and roof rats. And then, if we've got enough time, I brought a bucket of dry ice and some fun stuff that we could use with it. So I promise we won't blow anything up today. Maybe, hopefully not. So identifying characteristics. So this is not taking. This was not done in Mesa. Can we get a light?
Turn off those front lights.
Yeah. You're going to want to see this. Now, these are roof rats.
On the screen.
There we go. Still there, that's okay. So, this was a house actually in Phoenix, but I won't give you the other directions because that would be rude. But obviously, this was a property that was more than just a casual infestation. They actually had a real problem, and we actually dealt with adult services and Phoenix Neighborhood Services to try and come up with a solution to help this person and their property. But you can see the roof rats and the tails, and kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at when you're looking for roof rats. A lot of people confuse your Norway rats or your pack rats with roof rats. And you can go and you can get a ruler and you can measure out everything and try and figure out, do I have a roof rat? Do I have a pack rat? If you're backed up against a preserve or a field or something like that, chances are you have a pack rat. If you are in the middle of town and you're next to an orange grove or something like that, you live in the Arcadia district, chances are you have a roof rat, not a pack rat. And the biggest way you can tell the difference is those tails. The pack rat there on your left-hand side, the tail will only go up, won't go up past his body. Okay, it's a shorter tail, and it's also got a little fur on it. Where the roof rat is almost as long as his body, it goes all the way to his snout, right? And it is completely hairless. So you see that little guy? That's your roof rat. That's your pack rats. And those are the biggest way you're going to be able to tell the difference. Okay? But yeah, you can see the pack rat has a little blunt muzzle. The roof rat has a little sharper muzzle. The ears are a little different. But you really want to look at that tail. And they use that tail, the roof rats, they use that tail to swing around and to go aerial with and stuff. So that's why they want that real long, graceful tail. Okay? So those are your biggest, that's how you're going to do it. All right, so habitat. Again, they're more aerial. They like to live up high. They feel safe when they're up high. So you want to make sure that you keep your oleanders cut down, your palm trees cut down. Anything that's, any branches or trees that are going over your roof line, that type of thing, you want to make sure those are cut back. Some of your older neighborhoods, I used to live in a neighborhood that had aerials coming down, had power lines coming down from the streets and stuff into your house. If you have trees or branches that are interlocked with that type of stuff, you want to make sure you cut those down and get rid of those. Because that will keep the roof rats from being able to swing around and move around as much. So what are some of your other indicators? Again, squeaking, gnawing of sounds or dropping, smudge marks, urine stains. Rats smell. So if you've got a shed that you only go into but once every month or so, and you open up that door, you are going to know if there's something living in that shed, okay? Because it's going to stink really bad, okay? So those are some of your indicators. Again, the smudge marks, and they're using that, and they swing from their tail from rafter to rafter to get around. They like gnawing. They have food caches, so they don't eat as they go. They kind of store everything, and then they've got their little hiding spot, and then they hang out there, and that's where their food's at, and that's where they stay. So if you're cleaning out your shed again, or you're up in your attic, and you see a big pile of nuts and dog food or what have you, that's roof rats. Okay. They do real well on eating dog food and cat food that you leave out. They're not too picky. That's why they flourish so well in the valley. They'll eat just about anything. They do eat your fruit, your orange trees and your lemon trees, but that's not their number one. That's not their number one meal. But you can tell the difference between that and birds. When birds will pick at the fruit, you'll see that you just see like little holes. That's a bird going after your fruit. A roof rat will hollow out the whole thing. I got a picture of that later on. But that's how you're going to tell. They don't even need a lot of water because they get a lot of their water, a lot of their moisture content from the food that they eat. Again, they do like dog food, and they'll eat dog food. They like places that are like this, where they can hide back in there. That's one of our old our old bait stations. When roof rats first came into the valley, we wanted to try to get a handle on things, and we put out thousands of these bait stations, and we put them out throughout the neighborhoods and the communities. And what we found was that there was so much food out there that they wouldn't go after our bait stations. Why would they climb up a pole when they got food right here and they got fruit and everything? And so we really had to reverse our tactics and kind of go a community service type of a thing and community education that just get, when roof rats move into the neighborhood, to talk with the communities and get them to pick up the fruits, clean up the neighborhood so that the roof rats will move on.
Do you still have those baits out in certain?
The bait stations?
Yeah.
Actually, every once in a while we do find them from time to time, but they haven't been manned or anything for years.
I like coming up by Signal Butte, and I saw these things. What are those things on the telephone poles?
It might be an old bait station, yeah. It might very well be. So, they are younger born at 21, 23 days after conception, so they're not pregnant for very long. 5 to 8 in a litter. They can have 3 litters annually. Because of the Phoenix weather, a lot of animals, their breeding cycle is year-round. dogs and cats will have litters of kittens and puppies all year round. So will roof rats. So will everything else, because it's so warm here that it kind of throws off their biological clock. So they're reproducing all year round. So that kind of poses a problem when we're trying to cut down on these. But that's kind of like a little graph. And you can see starting out with one adult female roof rats and going for 12 months, 6,337 roof rats. Okay? That's a lot of rats. And that's just from one female. Now, what I want to stress and emphasize is getting rid of roof rats is not just 1 year and done. You have to constantly be vigilant about it. Because if you're not, if you leave just 1 or 2 breeding pairs of roof rats, you're going to end up with that in the course of a year again. And you're going to be right back where you started. So when they say roof rats are here and they're here to stay, pretty much they are. Because even if you think you've gotten rid of all of them, if you just left that one pair, that one female, and she's pregnant and she has her litter, guess what? 637 a year later. So yeah, it's kind of a drag. I know a lot of people, they want to hear, well, if I just throw out my bait stations, then they'll be gone. To a certain degree. Because when you clean up your property, when you remove the food source, when you remove their habitat, they're going to move on. They're going to be someone else's problem. Maybe Glendale's or Tempe's or somebody, but not your problem. And that's what we're concerned about, right? Stick it to the other guy. Did you get that? Hope you didn't get that on tape, did you? That would be bad. Okay, so they usually begin searching for food shortly after sunset. They carry the food to their hiding place. They like to cache. They like to hoard. They're going to nest anywhere where they feel safe. So you will see them. They are nocturnal, so you will see them at night. When everything's quiet at night, and you start, you'll see them moving around the fence tops. You'll see them moving around from the trees and stuff like that. That's prime time for them. That's why you have your owls are out. That's why your other predatory animals are out too, because they're looking for that meal as well, right? And then the other thing about them, which is really interesting, is neophobia. They are a bunch of scaredy cats. A lot of people think that they're going to take a snap trap or something, and they're going to put it on the corner of the baseboard where they see the roof rats going. Rats will not go to a snap trap like that. If they are creatures of habit. So if they take the same path day after day after day, then all of a sudden, boom, there's a trap there. Guess what? They're going to see stranger danger, and they're going to go around that trap. The best way to if you're going to use traps like that is you take your trap and you just put it off to the side. You don't set it. You don't do anything to it. You put it off to the side, and the rats will get familiar with it. They'll do their business on it. It'll become part of the environment. You let that sit a couple of days. Then you set your trap, put your little peanut butter on there, you put it where the rats go, and guess what? They're going to get caught just like that, okay? So, or you can leave it to a professional. So, if you wonder why you set snap traps out, they don't catch anything, that's why. Okay, since now I think we went all that stuff, okay? Oh, they're color balloon too, who cares? Because they work in the dark anyway, so why do you have to have color? All right. So they do damage. We're concerned about them because they do damage to insulation, electrical. They do eat your citrus. And again, earlier when we were talking about transmission of disease, they don't have hantavirus or plagues or anything like that, correct? What they have is they step in something, and then they go and they step on your countertop, and they transmit whatever they stepped onto your countertop, and then you put your ham sandwich down on that countertop, and that kind of gross, huh? But now you've just been exposed to Salmonella, E. coli, and all those other nasty diseases that we don't want. So when we talk about roof rats as transmitting disease, that's what they're transmitting. And it's still kind of gross. So, yes?
In your slide before, it says they're very sensitive to
They could, yes. But more importantly, your dogs would probably eat the dog food.
Well, if you don't have a dog.
If you don't have a dog. So you do want to be careful about that. Roof rats and all rats. I always forget the technical term for it, but they pee as they walk. And I don't remember the technical term for it, but they pee and poop as they walk. So if they're walking on your countertops, if they're walking through your house, is that too much information? A little bit? Yeah, sorry. You're going to you'll be exposed to that. Okay. There we go. Is that a better word? Okay, I'll word for next time.
But
Yes, ma'am.
that's why the raptors can spot them, because they're ultraviolet urine,
Yeah.
if they're outside.
So you see, this is the hollowed out fruit I was talking about. And when I say hollowed out, that is hollowed out. A lot of times when you see birds pecking at fruit, it's just a little bitty hole, right? So you can tell the difference between something like that and birds. Thank you, Julie.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm looking up to see if there's a term for pee as they walk. But I haven't found it yet.
I really need to figure out what that is because it's embarrassing.
Yeah. I'm thinking
It makes me sound like a third grader. So, what you want to do is, you want to proof your property. You want to put meshing over your vent holes. You want to make sure that you put steel wool, in places in your wall where they can come in and out of. They can go through expand foam. They can go through chew through wood and stuff like that. So you want to make sure it's something that they can't get through. And if they can fit their head through it, they can fit their body through it. Okay, so like the chicken wire there, that is not going to hold a roof rat. Okay, they're going to be able to go right through that. So you want to get something that's smaller than that, probably 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, something like that. And that way, that'll keep them out. Okay. So better pictures. So you want to do stuff like that. Again, the expanded foam, I don't know why that's there because that really is not. Well, they're not going to do that anyways. But that top gap there, they can go through the top gap. You can see how they've got mesh over here and down here, and that way they're not in your house. Okay, so control methods. Now we're going to talk a little bit about that. There's base stations. Rat poison is non-targeted. And what I mean by that is rat poison is basically an anticoagulant, meaning that when they take in them, they adjust the poison, they basically bleed to death internally. Okay, and anything that gets their hands on it will die. Fluffy, the kids, your dogs, anything. So if you are not comfortable with using the material, we really recommend that you get a professional to do that. And there's bait stations that work really well. There's humane snap traps. There are glue boards, which are inhumane. I wouldn't use a glue board on a roof rat because even they don't deserve to die like that. But you get my. There's a lot of different methods that you can use. The biggest method, and the best way, again, is to just clean up your property, clean up your fruit, roof pad, everything, and the rats are going to move on. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
When you catch these things, what do you advise? Put it in the garbage. What do you do?
Yep, they can go right if they're already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can just go right in the garbage.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not going to test them. We don't have any. We're not going to do anything with them. I have a lady that lives in Phoenix, and she likes catching them. For some reason, she likes catching them, and she puts them into this rabbit hutch. And she will call me maybe once during the summer, when they're really populating and moving around. She'll call me sometimes once a month, once every other month, and I'll go down and I'll pick up 20, 30 roof rats from her out of this hatch. And then I've got to deal with them. So,
You were telling me with the plates and stuff.
well, what I do with them? You really want to know? No, actually, what I do is we use dry ice for our mosquito traps. Dry ice produces carbon dioxide, which is an asphyxiant, and I dump the roof rats in there, and they die within seconds.
She catches them and she keeps them alive?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I thought they were dead.
No, they're alive.
Oh,
She feeds them. It's really wild, yeah. And then what this person was doing was, and then what she was catching them in humane traps. But what she was doing was she was taking them, and then she was taking them up to South Mountain and releasing them in South Mountain. I'm like, man, that's illegal. You can't transmit one non-indigenous, animal to another spot. You can't do that. So we had a little conversation, and so we agreed that if I would come in, I would pick them up for her. So, because I'm a nice guy, that's what we do every day.
This woman needs to find something else to do.
She doesn't even have it, yes. So when you are using snap traps and stuff like that, you want to make sure they're secured. You want to make sure that they're in places where kids won't get to them. If you've ever had a snap trap got caught on your finger or something, it will break a little child's finger. Okay? So again, if you're not comfortable with using these methods, we really want to make sure that you use a professional or somebody who is comfortable. Okay? So again, our bait stations. This is how she would catch my little friend in Phoenix. That's how she caught her riff rats. And these are live stations. But once you catch them, then you got to figure out what you're going to do with them, right? Hawks, cats, they do very well with catching the riff rats. But the cat might have a little bit more difficult of a time because the rat will probably fight back a little bit more. Here's some of your humane snap traps and your other traps. And then again, your bait stations. Any other, again, is there any other questions or about that type of stuff, removal or anything? Okay. So again, cleanliness of the properties and alleyways, trim interlocking bridges, thin out the hedges, and the rats are going to move on. And you won't see that. That again, those smudge marks, those are riff rats. They were first discovered in Arcadia District in 2001, and that's when we had the plan of going out there, and they've really been the model of how to deal with riff rats in the community. And they have a website called Neighbor to Neighbor, and you can get on that website, and they'll show you how to make your own snap trap, or not snap trap, but your bait stations. They'll show you how to make bait stations, and they'll give you a lot of other advice. They'll even help you set up citrus programs so that you can go to your neighbors, go to the community center, and they'll bring in the rollaway, and you just tell your neighbors about the citrus program, and they come in and they drop off the citrus, and they remove it. And that way, the riff rats will hopefully move on. So our response is we track riff rat complaints for future response. We will identify species. So if you give us a riff rat complaint, we will go out there. We'll let you know, yeah, you got riff rats, you got to deal with it. Or we'll tell you, no, that's more of a pack rat. We get calls like that all the time. People call me, they'll give us a complaint, and say, well, I got something, I don't know what it is. So we'll go out there and we'll tell them, no, if it's a pack rat, you can let it go. Or you can do whatever you want with it, but I can't tell you because they're native animals, so you can just let them loose, they're fine. They take care of themselves. And or if you have riff rats. So we will do that, but we don't abate riff rats. Yes, ma'am.
Where did the riff rats come from? They've been here not very long. So do they know where they evolved?
They probably hitched a ride from somebody from back east.
Okay, so they're from back east.
Yes. Yep.
Truck, or California.
Or California. Yeah. They got on a shipping list. They got on a truck. Somebody was moving their furniture or whatever. And then while they're in the valley, you have landscapers that go from community to community. They cut palm trees, they cut branches, they take all those branches, they throw it in the back of their truck, and they go on to the next community. Well, that riff rat kind of hitched a ride from from landscaper to landscaper.
I live in desert grasses, I live in Central Valley, California, I haven't heard of them there.
What, roof rats?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't
I
know.
mean, are they more in the desert, kind of San Bernardino?
Honestly, I don't know. Probably more LA area.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't live in California. I don't know their history in California. No, that's fine. So currently, where am I? Okay, we had 12 roof rat complaints in Mesa in 2012, and we had 14 complaints in 2011. So you can see we're not getting a lot of complaints about it, because mostly we get the word out there that the neighbors are kind of like, you're on your own, take care of it, type of a thing, help yourselves. We're here to help you, help yourself type of a thing. And so because of that, we don't get a whole lot of calls and a lot of complaints. But we do take each one of the complaints we do get, and we put it on our little map, and we map out where all the complaints are, so that if we do have to address it in the future, we know exactly what community we're going to hit up first. Okay? Okay. Chapter 3 of the Health Code, that's kind of our, that's the chapter that we regulate. We don't have any other health code. We don't have any other help with statutes, but this code right here, and it just basically says that no person shall maintain a harbage or a breeding site for mosquitoes, for roof rats, and if you do, you've got to clean it up, and that's pretty much all it is. That's what we tell people. This was that property again, and from the back side, you can tell that was where all the roof rats were. Remember? And this is the front of the house. The grass is mowed, everything looks nice. It looks the same as any other house in the neighborhood. They did have roof rats. But then remember all the things we've talked about. You've got the old